Yo, yo, good day, and welcome to another episode of the RotaFest Detail Bookie Podcast. And I'm live from Vegas. Had to take a little unexpected trip to help my wife with the problem. Don't even get me started, but it's kind
right.
of a funny story.
The intrigue of Jody had to fly to Vegas to help his wife with a problem.
Right. Oh, shoot. I got to go to Vegas and help my wife.
In fact, let's title this one "Had to Fly to Vegas to be the heavy for a problem," and then
that's exactly what it was.
It'll be viral. So,
but anyway, dude, we are super excited. So, a week and a half ago, we were at Mobile Tech Expo. It was cold. I don't know what happened to Orlando, Florida, but it thought it was Alaska or something.
Right.
And so they moved a lot of the events inside, and the show was just incredible. And a large part of that show was because of what Alex has built with the paint correction competition. And dude, it was crazy good. So we wanted to get you in and kind of have a sneak peek or a review or a post-mortem of the show and chat with you about what you thought and saw. So
no, it was awesome, and it was great having you guys come by. And even though we had the audio difficulties that first go around, you guys came back and we did it again and kind of showed everybody a live of the paint correction competition going on. So no, it was awesome. I appreciate you guys for doing that too.
Well, it was fun.
I think the hype around this second one was, you guys more than doubled the number of participants. And there were people that second day trying to get into the competition. And I heard more than once the guy going, "Sorry, man, it's full. There's no other spots."
Yeah.
And it really went from something that people were kind of skeptical about last year to there's a lot of hype around it because it's taken all of the ego funky, argument, I'm the king or queen of polishing out of all of it. It just comes down to, you can either do it or you can't, and everybody's on the same playing field.
Yeah. And the main thing is I tell everybody, we're all detailers. We could work on those pants until the cows come home, and still need more time with them. It's that 5 minutes. That 5 minutes is, it's enough, but at the same time, it's not enough. And that's where, I think all these, skeptics online don't understand, they get on and they, preach about like, oh, I could do, come and do it in 5 minutes. Everybody was like, one of the questions I asked in the exit interview was, did the paint beat you or did the time beat you? And I think more people said time beat them than paint beat them,
Yeah, because as I'm over there armchair quarterbacking it on my own, I looked at it and I was like, okay, if I compare this to what you would do in your own shop, okay? And by the second day, everybody knew the paint was really hard that second day.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it going, okay, these are 1,500 grit scratches on hard paint, and it has like 6 mils, 4 mils, 5. It's got enough.
Yeah.
I'm hitting it with 2,000. I'm going to 3,000. If this was in my own shop, I'm gonna reduce down to where I can then polish it. You don't have the ability to do that. And we watched people that thought they had everything together. Man, they had 3 polishers. They're all laying on the tops. They've got the pads on them. They're ready to go. There's no switching pads. And then we watched this one gal she went ahead and put all the compound on every single thing. And we were like, okay, that's a mistake. It's going to start off gassing as soon as you go. So she's polishing away with that first polisher. And this one's over here just drying out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then she forgot to plug it in. And just those normal things that wouldn't affect
little things.
Yeah. In a normal situation, that's 2 seconds. That's 3 seconds. Yeah. That's not a big deal. But in this competition where everything is equal and you have 5 minutes, that killed her. That killed her. She couldn't even get to her third step.
Well, the other thing too that you know, with interviewing everybody afterwards is, you know, you don't realize until you're in there, you know, but it's the clock, it's the people watching, and everybody was like, man, I feel like everything I'd ever learned, experienced, you know, whatever, right out the window, and I didn't know, like, am I supposed to go up and down? Am I supposed to go back and forth? Like, it just it's just the pressure of competing, and that's the other thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is, you know, is you can be like, oh yeah, I can polish out a pan, but get in there with a time limit and get in there with like 30 people watching you, and in all the people, you know, that are like talking about your technique and how much pressure you're doing or how you're doing this, you know, like, and all that starts going through your head. There's a reason why I don't do this competition.
Oh,
And it's, you know, primarily because I put it on, and, you know, if they were like, you know, if I won, you know, oh yeah, the guy who created it made all the rules, and yeah, sure he won. But nah, man, I can't get in there with that many eyes on me. I mean, like, I have a hard time polishing with just one person standing next to me, because then I get in my head and I start thinking, and then I'm over cycling, and next thing you know, 5 minutes would have been gone by and I'd have been on my first pass, you know? So
yeah. Well, and I think that the really interesting part about it is when you watch, I actually watched somebody get in their head and change what they were doing. I watched somebody that literally got up there and only really started cutting on the 5 locations where they were going to be measuring. Yeah. And I'm like, they totally changed their technique. You know, if this is a panel, it's a good size. Just follow the technique that you know and get the whole thing. But this person was really hitting those 5 spots. And I'm like, the mentality to try to figure out those 5 spots and get them all even. Yeah. You're doing more damage than you would if you just went in and polished it. And I also noticed some people, the edges, they weren't getting all the way to the edge, and so their scores, some people noticed that. And again, I think it was really cool the second year, because the people that, again, quote, would have expected to win didn't win. Exactly. It was, you know, Bob Phillips and Kirk Evans and some young kid. And it's like, that's the same thing that happened last year. And I think that's good to know. Now, I will go out on a limb here, and I will say that I've spent a lot of time with both of those guys, Kirk and Bob Phillips, and they both really do know how to polish. They do training. I would expect someone like a Paolo Asensia, Bob Phillips, Kirk Evans to be able to do that well, because they train and they have those eyes on them all the time. Yeah. So to see Kirk make the decision he did and went after it, he did really well, because that's what he does all the time. He's training people. But I'm the same as you. I couldn't even imagine standing there in front of all these people and having them critique, you know, how you're standing and how you're doing this, and you know. So yeah, it was good.
And it's you know, it was really nice to see a lot of people come back who did it last year. Oh, we lost Rod. Later, buddy.
That's okay. We'll get him back.
Yeah, it was really nice to see the people come back from last year. Some of them, you know, so that was cool. And then talking to them, and they're like, "Hey, I'll be back next year." You know, it was really nice seeing Mike Grant, who won it last year, come back and do it again, because he was kind of on the fence about doing it. You know, and we told him, like, look, dude, like, you won it last year, like, you've got an automatic entry, you know, into it. You know, so it was nice to see him come back and do it again. No, he wasn't. Stats. Thanks.
That's funny, Stats. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was great to see some of those people come back, because the thing about it is that it's that moment in time. It's that particular panel. It wasn't the same paint as last year. It wasn't the same clear as last year. And everything is, you know, again, we all know as detailers, if you sat down and you wrote out as if you were training, you'd be like, okay, here are all the factors that involve polishing. It's the tool, it's the polish, it's the environment, it's the, you know, and you'd list those things all out. But now I'm in charge. I'm going to add Jody to the stream.
We're losing everybody.
It's musical windows. We're just changing it up a little bit. But I think that really came into play when you're talking about this stuff, because there's no way to know until you're at that panel. And you're like, okay, today in this, and there's a couple of times where that room, the environment was insane. It was hot, and then it'd get cold. And I know that affects it somewhat, but still, especially with the people that were pre-coating their pads and letting them sit there on the table. And it's I think it's fun. There was more people that were like, well, this is a big enough area. We could double the size of it next year. You could put one on the other side and one on the other side. And I'm like, hey, I'm sure that's how the PDR competition started, and that thing runs the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And I think it is, as far as people trying something out at a show, like you've done this, Jody and I have been doing live podcasts. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. The internet at that particular building sucks.
Yeah.
It's better to record and do it later than it is to try to do it live. But the one thing that I would say about this event is this event has been a huge success. It grows every year.
Yeah.
And I think it's really enhancing that show to the point where I hear people talking, well, next year I'm going to do this. Next year I'm going to try this. And I'm like, good luck.
Well,
maybe
and
really
there's a lot of people going, well, next year I'm going to do it, right? They're starting to see how it's working.
Right.
They're seeing that it's fair, that it's pushing people. And I thought it was, and Rod and I didn't get back and see the young girl. I mean, I remember, 3-4 years ago, we were super excited about the detail kid and how young he was. But this year we had a 7-year-old girl that showed up, and he was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, listen, she was running a rotary. I mean, and she was controlling it pretty darn good, I feel like, for a 7-year-old. So I don't know many grown men that can run a rotary and control it. They get those.
And it wasn't walking away from her.
No, it wasn't.
But I think that's part of the problem is that people are intimidated on their own, and then when you say, well, we're going to put you in front of people, whereas a young kid, they don't really have that factor, right? I mean, a young kid.
No, because she was up there showing off for the crowd. I mean, she was hamming it up. I mean, it was awesome. It was great. So I hope she does it again next year.
Did she have to stand on a box to get up?
She had to stand on a step.
I mean, that's what I think is so cool about it, is she wasn't even tall enough to reach the table, and it's
Stats has the worst salesman ever. I mean, he's always complaining about his salesman.
All I hear is him complaining. Aaron Knox isn't here and complaining about a salesman.
Next year, I think the theme of Mobile Tech Expo, because of the weather this year, should be like dead iguanas. Everybody should have like iguana necklaces.
Well, it's getting pushed back next year, right?
Yes, it is.
10th through the 12th. So if that's the case, I mean, we've been having like 80-degree weather days the past couple of days. So if it's, pushes back and it's the same as this year, it'll be, then you guys will be complaining that it's too hot down here, We
will. So the interesting thing is Sheldon's going to run out of themes. So he had the 60s or the 70s, and then he had the 80s, and now we're in the 90s. I'm like, you're going to run out of decades, dude. You're going to have to go with like a subculture. You're going to have to go with like mullet or, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I mean, listen, we're doing this in Orlando. I think it should be like some Southern rock. I mean, we got Skinner came from Jacksonville. We got a lot of good bands that came from around this area. I think it should be a Southern rock team.
Tom
and everybody
Petty from Florida.
Yeah, Tom Petty's from Gainesville. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, so
there you go. It should be Southern rock theme, whatever. I think that is the coolest thing about just the timing of it, because the industry, for the most part, you guys don't ever, down in Florida, you guys don't ever actually, slow down as far as weather-wise. But in other parts of the country, it slows down. I mean, when you're talking about like in Wisconsin, where Mike Carlin's at, there's snow on the ground. It's not just cold, it's stupid cold. It is like bone chilling cold. And so the fact that we have it down there is great. It's a great time. I think this year was super positive. I mean, I got a kind of a energized feeling again for Mobile Tech, as opposed to some of the years and several years ago where it was just like a downer and people were bitching and complaining about stuff. And this was a really good year.
I think people were just trying to get away from Snowmageddon, you know? So I think there was, you know, even though it was cold down here, I think people were just happy to get away. I mean, we had, you know, one of our installers, the young kid, Parker, you know, he's from Virginia, and he was coming down for his first MTE. And I mean, he was doing the whole shebang. He did education day, he did MTE, did the paint correction competition. And he was hanging out with us in our booth, and he hit me up like the week before, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, you know, "Where's there any cool places to hang out?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I've got no work. It's snowing. I'm coming down early. I want to get out of the cold." So like he came down and hung out like just north of Daytona Beach for like 3 or 4 days before, you know, MTE, just to get out of the cold. So you know, and I think a lot of people kind of did that. I think a lot of people kind of came down early, just to kind of get away from it, and then, you know, leading up to MTE, so it wasn't as a rushed experience, and it felt good. And again, this was the first year ever that between the detailing exhibitors and the detailing attendees, we had the bigger numbers from PDR. So it was nice, you know, that there was that many detailers around. And two, there was I got my sheet right here from MTE. There was 20% more new exhibitors on you know, for the whole event, you know, but still, you know, so there was over 160 exhibitors at MTE this year. I mean, they had to make room, you know, for everybody, so which was nice.
It was. And I think, you know, I don't, you go back and forth on locations. Everybody has, physically, the building and everything, I like the location. The internet sucks. Internet's horrible. Like for the for the IDA awards, we literally had to write, I mean, like,
write a check
right to the moment that we started that. We were having the technicians come in there to give us enough internet to get out on a live stream. It was horrendous. And I mean, it was pulling teeth to get it to happen. So that, for that reason, I don't like the location, but I do like the location because it has some restaurants on site and, you know, different things. There was a lot of new stuff. I mean, they had Jody and I kind of MC and kick it off, which was fun. We got in trouble in like 13.2 seconds, which, you know, I've been there since I was born, so it was fun to get in trouble.
Nice.
And we had, you know, a number of new participants. The amount of people that had never gone before and were at the thing, it was great.
Yeah, so let's talk about AQUATIC, right? I mean, yes, you're obviously doing the paint correction thing. That's taken a lot, but you had a team with AQUATIC coatings there, and I think you guys released some new stuff.
We were showcasing some new stuff. So obviously the biggest eye catcher was Esme. For everybody who doesn't know Esme, the detailing girl in the Netherlands, she's, you know, probably, I would say, the most popular detailer in the world, according to maybe like social media. You know, that's a true detailer, not a YouTuber. I would say she has like 500,000 followers on Instagram, or like 470 or something like that, you know. And she's been using our product for our coatings. She's been using them for probably about the last 8 months or so now. Really likes it. And, you know, we thought we were thinking about bringing her to SEMA, as we were going to go and just walk it as usual. And we thought about bringing her, but she's partnered with ADBL from Poland, a product company, and so they ended up taking her to SEMA. So our thought was, okay, let's skip SEMA last year. Let's save that money that me, Mike, and Jason would spend in hotels and airfare and everything, and we'll bring Esme to MTE, and that'll be a better thing for us, because then we'll have the booth versus walking around. People can actually like know where to come and find her, get pictures and everything. So so that was a fun thing. That was the big, show, was having her there. And I mean, she, everybody wanted to see her. She wanted to see everybody. We were showcasing, or we had it on a flyer because we didn't get labels printed in time because the snow, they didn't get to Mike's house in time. But we were kind of showcasing our marine coating that we are looking to launch probably like early April, because everybody in the marine side has said, don't launch it at MTE because it's still cold. Nobody's doing boats. And by the time April comes around, everybody will have forgotten about it. So launch it in April when boat season starts. So that's a product we've been working on for, since probably right after MTE last year. We actually worked with Angela Gillum out in Seattle area. She wanted to try, some of our coatings. She gave us a lot of feedback on how to do it with the marine side of it. Hey, thanks, Steven. Appreciate it. Sorry, Ken. Appreciate it. And so it's been nice. I mean, she's been giving us a lot of positive feedback. Obviously, Rashid Baker and I are really good friends, even though, he's on the Angel Wax team. We did send him a couple of bottles and let him try it out, and he gave us a lot of positive feedback for it. So
awesome.
And in stats, let's give stats because I don't have to listen to him crybaby. And that's one of our installers. He threw it on his boat, and threw it out there in the Potomac or wherever he's at, in Maryland, and he had it sitting in the water for about 6 months or so, and was real happy with how it just rinsed right off. Didn't have to do a lot of heavy scrubbing and things like that. So we think we got a pretty good marine product on our hands now to launch.
Good.
The other thing we didn't have it to showcase, but we were kind of letting people know is we've got a really nice interior cleaner that hopefully in that April-ish time will drop as well. We got a water spot remover that I have been really on for like the last year because I am super skeptical about water spot removers. I feel like they're usually too weak. So this one's pretty cool. We actually get it. So this one we actually get it concentrate. So we get to be able to dilute it down how we want to. So I've been playing with it pretty nice, and it's a lot of down here in Florida we get a lot of water spots, a lot of that the junk that sits on that. So it's been doing a real good job. So so we had a few things to talk about, plus obviously pushing our other coatings. I mean, thanks to Jerry Grant for he's another one of our sales guys. He came and stuck in the booth and helped the guys really kind of get everything because
there's one by Flex Seal. That's the new Flex Seal boat coating.
I heard boat coating can help prevent sinking.
Listen,
and this is why coatings have a bad name, because somebody's gonna believe.
Well, it just depends on how you look at it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe Noxie stuff. I mean, it's supposedly so thick. Maybe it'll add enough on there to keep the boat afloat. But no. So so it was nice to be able to the cool thing about our booth this year, because this was our third year at MTE, and the cool thing about it was this year it was less of people kind of coming around going, so who are you guys? What do you do? and it was more of, hey, tell me about your product, because I've been seeing it a lot lately. I've been hearing more about it. So it was more like we had a better, I guess, reaction to the booth, and more people, that have now heard the name over the last 30 years, and see that we're not going away, and we're only kind of, building, asking more questions now about it, versus just kind of like, so who are you guys? What do you do? Like the last couple of years, which has been nice. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You put him on jet skis too. I forgot about that. He bitches so much about doing marine stuff. I forgot he did other boats and stuff. Yeah.
So, and I think that the cool part about, I mean, like, there's a lot of people that bring in, celebrities or people that are well known, but the cool part about Esme, and I'm jumping back to that, was if you've never seen her stuff, like her actually do work, she works.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll sand down a car and polish that. I mean, she does, and she has the whole thing on video. She's pretty open about what she does. And so it was cool. It's cool to talk to her, see her in person, and actually, have her around in there, because I think that as more people look globally around detailing, there's a lot of different environments that we don't even think about. Jody and I had an opportunity to go to the Netherlands and see the kind of environment that they deal with over there. And it's a different game when you go overseas. It's not the same products. It's not the same techniques. There's different things, and you can pick stuff up all over the place. And I think it's just one of those things where people broaden their horizons when we start bringing in people. I mean, in the PDR world, there have been people coming from Japan and China and doing the PDR competitions ever since the first time I ever went.
Yeah.
So it's really an international thing. And now I think detailing is really starting to get more international.
It does seem like that way.
There's new chapters opening up from the IDA in all these different countries, and there's more people becoming aware of detailing in general. And so I think that's really awesome. And so as far as the AQUATIC side of things, obviously you guys are in the Netherlands, but how many, just off the top of your head, roughly, how many countries are you guys in?
No, so I mean, our primary objective is the States for now. We do have Esme in the Netherlands, but I mean, honestly, like that's just, she was looking for a coating to use, and we were looking for somebody to give us views, right? So
that makes sense, because a lot of people are, like I was saying, we're focused in the Americas, right?
Yeah.
You're in North America or South America, and that's about
right.
it. And that's what most of the companies here are.
Right. And we do have a few people in South America and Central America, and then even up in Canada that are using the product, few, we do have a couple of guys in Australia that are using the product. We've had interest in other countries. I know Jason a couple of years ago, or a year ago, or whatever, there was a couple of guys from Poland. So he sent them products to try out. The UK, we've had some people send product, we've sent products to try out and things like that. And, it's just right now, unfortunately, reason why I say like our main focus is here in the States is, just because of shipping is easier
absolutely.
for us, right? I mean, like we're not big enough yet to, to be shipping to these other countries, because then the customs and everything gets crazy. So the hope with Esme is that, maybe she'll get a little bit of, in Portugal, nice. Hopefully she'll generate enough interest over there, and then we can go to a distributor and say, hey, look, there is a want for it now. We just need somebody who can do it, right? Like it's the supply and demand thing. We have the demand for it. Now we need the supply for it. And if we can go to, my thought is, if we can go to a distributor and say, hey, look, here's 10, 15, 20 people that want our coatings or our product that you are automatically going to have as clients, I feel like it's an easier way in for us there. But, right now we're we're trying to focus on growing the brand and getting more recognition, because we've kind of gotten the line to a point where we've got, I wouldn't say like a full line, but we've got enough of the necessary products to, from the coatings to then the maintenance, the aftercare type stuff, that now we can really kind of focus on, okay, building our installer base, because now it's not like we only have a couple of coatings, so you're still going to have to go buy this from over here and that from over there. Now you can get a majority of our stuff from us, and now it's trying to grow the installer base from there. And then hopefully as the installer base grows, then it starts transitioning. You start hearing about it in other countries, and then they're going to want to pick up on it and, go from there and everything. So,
well, the interesting thing about that, and I asked that question for a couple of reasons. One is because you see so many of these companies that are, the best way to say it is, in the United States, in small businesses, statistically, everybody's heard the statistic that like 4 out of 5 businesses fail within the first, year.
Yeah.
But one of the things people don't hear is, why do businesses fail? And one of the reasons in America that businesses fail is because they try to grow too rapidly.
Yeah.
They don't establish that foundation and that base to be able to become successful. So if we look at even the polishing competition, if you guys had opened up the polishing competition the first year and said like, okay, we have 152 spots open, we've taken out 40 by 40 and had 100 pans sitting there, and then 20 people would have polished. It would have looked horrible, and it would have damaged the foundation. But the fact that it was full, and then this year it was more than full, and then you can grow at a rate. And that's the same with every company. When we look at companies in general, growing a company, you have to do it strategically. You can't just go shotgun approach and whatever sticks we're going to do, because half of that stuff misses horribly. And I think that's a wise way to do it, is to introduce something. And now once your name starts to get recognized and you're out there, it was interesting because this year, Jody and I had more people approach us this year and go, wow, I didn't realize that you guys bought Detail Bookie. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. So, and we've owned it for over a year now, but because the name had to get out there, and we had to reestablish that the brand was going to continue to go and be strong and all that.
Right. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people were just expecting Road FS to cannibalize Detail Bookie, and you guys have done a really good job so far of keeping them, as two separate entities and offering two separate types of services. So,
yeah, if you picture stepbrothers, we just keep them apart. They have separate bunk beds.
I think one of the challenges, especially when you're newer in business, and I really appreciated the Mobile Tech Expo really focusing on new businesses on that Wednesday. It gives them a lot to think about and consider as they're building their business. But it's like Rod said, a lot of times we're all in a hurry to get to success, right?
Yeah.
And there's something about building foundationally that enables you to go the distance. And a lot of times we're trying to get to E when we haven't even done A, B, and C, right? We've done A, maybe a little bit of B, and we're trying to jump all the way to E or F. And what happens is that inevitably you end up revisiting E and it's C and D, because you didn't put those places, and you didn't put those foundational elements in place. The other thing that I've noticed too is, especially as you've grown, as we've grown as a brand, is that eventually you are going to be invited to the table because of what you bring to the table.
Exactly.
Right. And usually you're not invited until you have given, you have served, you have proven your concept. It's like with the paint correction thing, people were a little skeptical. Should I try it?
Yeah.
And now, second year in, they're like, oh, there's a reader board and there's young girls playing, and it's even better than last year. And now they're like, oh, can I get involved? Right. And so there's something about that process that we fight against it, but it is needed for the success of anything.
Yeah. And that was the thing, about the paint correction competition. I mean, even last year and even going into this year that, for and I get it. It's a lot of the people that don't go to MTE, right? That are
Mhm.
have opinions about it online. Um, but the thing that gets me is, we whether it's me or whether it was somebody else who did this, right, is finally something is happening for us, for our industry.
Right.
And instead of everybody being on board for it, trying to lift it up, trying to make it a better thing, it's just it's, the opinionated people, they've got something to say about it, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they
And
want to
you're always
critique
going to
it.
have that no matter what.
Right.
But
And I get that, because my reply to it is, first of all, is like, come on down. I guarantee you, and I'm gonna name some names. I guarantee you, Greg Masterson and all the little Greg Masterson wannabes that talk shit about the paint correction competition. I guarantee all of you would be crying at those pans because of how hard that paint was and how deep those scratches were on that paint. So, y'all can sit back and type on your keyboards and, this and technique and whatever, but come do it. Just come do it. Come do it, like before you talk shit, come and do it. The other thing that I say is, well, if you think you could do better, then by all means, come join the committee and give us some ideas and tell us how to do it
yeah.
better. Or hey, go do your own. But I don't see anybody doing that. So,
Right.
and you guys know this. I didn't want to do this from the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. I came to
Right.
you
It,
guys
it was a big
as
question
I
your
mark.
know.
voice to do
Yeah,
it.
people were like, "Do you want to
Um,
do this?" And I'm like, "I don't want to have
yeah.
anything to do." But I think
So,
that is compared to what we see. Like if you go to, let's just say, any training USA, you're going to see some junkyard hoods or fenders, but they're
hmm
totally mismatched. Right? You're going
hmm
to have 3 hoods on a stand. This one is original paint, 3 mils. This one has been repainted 14 times and it's 7.5 mils thick in one spot and it's 35 in another one. And then this one
exactly.
over here is going to be single stage. You
Yeah.
can't compare those three. They're not the same unless you
Can't.
map it out and say, okay, you get one panel on each hood. There, there's obviously other ways to do it, but I can't think of a way. I literally cannot critique the way that
Yeah.
competition is handled
Well,
because there's no room for error. I mean, I've heard people say, well, they should all use the same polisher. Okay, that's one element. They
yeah.
should all use the same compound. Okay, that's two. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's still the person that's running the machine that's in control of how it's done.
So they do one in Germany. I learned this last year. I was speaking with Sasha from he puts it on or helps put it on in Germany. And here's how crazy it is. They get, I think it's 4 or 5 rentals, same car, same make, same year, same color. And they only use the 4 doors, right? So you have
Okay.
four times, you have 20 people or whatever, right? Um, and what they do is they map out a square on the door. I think it's a 12 by 12, and they do 3 1-inch circles sanding, and then the rest of it's whatever. Now, when you polish, you have to stay inside that square. If you
Yep.
go outside the square, you lose points. If you sling,
Oh.
you lose points,
Oh
right?
wow.
Oh,
Because they do it on a point system.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's all these like positive points and negative points that you can gain. But what they do, and this is, I will actually give credit to the Germans for being able to do this, is they have 7 different judges who eyeball it and critique it and come up with a score. And I asked Sasha, I said, how do you do that? And he goes, what do you mean? We just do it. And I'm like, but you don't have anybody complaining about it? And he goes, no, everybody agrees with it. And I'm like, there's no way in hell that would happen here.
Oh
There's
no.
no way in hell. I mean, if you
No.
had Jason Rose going around, and all the flex guys would be like, oh, well, of course Jason Rose is going to pick the guy who used the Rupes machine. Like there's just no way. That's why we have to use the row point detailometer tool, and I think that's awesome that they can do that over there. But, I don't know how they do that thing. Listen, Richard, I fly me over there. I'd come over there and help you.
That's the thing, though. I mean, I think that is, it's like anything, right? There's different ways to do all kinds of events, but in general, like you said, I don't hear a lot of people complaining about it now that it's been going on.
The only people that complain about it is the people that are online and aren't doing it. The people that are actually doing it, the people that are there, think it's amazing. They think it's awesome. Everybody loved how this year's paint was so much harder than last year's paint for the people that did it both years. I mean, I talked to Mike Phillips, who's done it both years, and he was like, Alex, you guys had some hard paint last year. So I knew there was a chance of it being hard again this year. So I brought, Dr. Beasley's like Diamond Cut Plus Ultra, whatever the name is. And he goes, and it was still harder than, so he loved it. He loved, and that to me, coming from Mike Phillips, to be like, look, I love that it was hard last year, and I love that you guys went harder with it this year.
Yeah.
It by sheer coincidence, because I did not say go harder. In fact, I use a different painter than I used last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know anything about paint other than how to make it shiny. So to me, I feel like, I don't know how we go into it saying it's going to be this level of hardness, softness.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The only thing you could do is you could have different types of paint. So you could have somebody throw out some old school lacquer and, do stuff like that, or have a single stage competition versus a base coat, clear coat. So, but the thing about that is everything that you've done has leveled the playing field to where, like you said, some of these keyboard warriors that haven't shown up and done it, they're always going to have complaints, and I totally ignore them. I don't care. It's one of those things where you want to go and critique somebody online for what they're doing, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. Right. But it's really, when it comes down to it, all that goes away once they step behind that pan and start polishing it. Because again, there's a time element thrown in there that I don't think most people are used to having a time element. I mean, it's not about.
And I actually like the time element, because I was actually walking the rare time Rod and I got out of the booth that we were so busy. I was talking to Lee Roth about the PDR, and I was looking at the PDR, and I followed that for a long time. You figure the PDR guys have 45 minutes. Everybody's watching them. And early on in the years, they literally were hitting it manually with the hammer, right? Mm-hmm. So you didn't have any consistency. Now they have this little like potato gun that puts the exact same amount of pressure. And I think that's one of the things that you've been able to do is you've really tried to make it as level across the playing field as you can. And it really comes down to you as a detailer. Right. And it was fun to watch people just get on that paint and they're like, whoa, this is really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing I like is I like being on the other side of the rope, because then not critiquing someone, but it's kind of like watching any competition, right? You can watch somebody and you go, oh yeah, they chose wrong. You see somebody and they showed up this year and their first thing they had was a DA, and I'm like, they're out.
Yeah.
They're not going to get the cut they want to out of it, because we once the first or second person went, you could see how hard it was. Let's see, you guys are some of the finest guys in the industry. Thank you for
Randy.
Wow.
We love you, Randy.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Randy Hobson is such a good dude. I mean, you talk about a man that has integrity and the good of everybody at heart. That guy is a good dude.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing come out of the MTE now, and that's what I think is awesome about it is now there's competitions for, like you said, for the detailers, and it was fun to go between the two. So we got to go this year we got to go with Lee Roth and actually go behind the rope and go into where they were doing the competition in the PDR. And it's leveled off as well. There's not a whole lot of room for error in there. The only difference,
in fact, you bring that up. The number one PDR guy, it was between 5 guys, and they were literally debating between each other, and kind of that German model of they had to bring him in, and they were debating who was the better. And the guy that won, the guy that won had won it. It was his 4th year in a row.
Yeah, I think they made him retire. I think Sheldon said
he retired. Yeah, he retired. He's like,
I'm
going to be a judge.
Yeah, he retired. They made him retire somehow. Yeah, he's not allowed to do it, or I guess not allowed to do it anymore. But
I'm still here. My just died.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, the only other thing that we've talked about of possibly doing, and this would be maybe if Jason Rose can make it happen. He obviously, with his connections with Rupes, he has more connections to like industrial type or mechanical type stuff, is that we actually have the pans painted and sanded robotically. And then the cool thing that we could do with that is it can be programmed. So if we want a softer paint, if we want a medium paint, if we want a hard paint, we can program it that way. Also, robotically, it can be programmed, so they all have exactly the same. Because, that's the thing. I gave my painter my row point paint thickness gauge, and he was able to paint them all in the booth at the same time. But it's still a person, so the thickness is going to be plus or minus, whatever. But he did a really good job with that. But so I don't know. I mean, if we can get Jason to find somebody to maybe donate or not cost an arm and a leg, that would be the thing that we would maybe try to do for next year. If not, then I'll either go back to the same painter I used this year, because he did a pretty good job. And I did talk to him, and he said, because I told him, I was like, look, man, that paint was hard, and he's like, how are these detailers? And he's, oh, well, if we did it again, he's like, instead of 2-to-1, I could go 4-to-1, and it would soften it up a little bit. So, I mean, he at least knows, if I went in there and wanted a medium or a soft paint or whatever, he'd be able to mix it up a little bit and get there for us or whatever. But yeah, I think the just the fact that everybody was challenged, again, it's you don't have that, like you said, you don't have that time in your shop where you could, 2K it, 3K it, cut it. And again, if you were a DA guy, unfortunately this year, you just did not have a chance, because I've tried a couple of different compounds on the DA with microfiber, with wool before, when I had a couple of pans sanded, beforehand, and it straight up was, I mean, you'd have to do 3 or 4 cuts with a DA, and then you're just swelling the paint because you're putting way too much heat in it and everything. So, yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it, and that was the joke I made all weekend long to everybody, because they were like, man, it was so hard this year. And I said, well, maybe we'll go GM black paint next year,
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that is, if it's soft like that, like, you don't know, because the first cut, it looks horrible. It looks grayer than Jody's hair. And then you've got to be able to bring that haze out of it. And so I think the fact that it is one of the most challenging paints to do in the first place, which is black, but any dark color like that. But the coolest part about it, I think, is, again, it's an activity that everybody can enjoy. People get behind it. It's fun, and it has tons of room for growth as it goes forward. I just love it. I mean, there you go.
I love Mike's idea for a gel coat competition.
Mike, you start that one. I have enough stress with this one, so you go ahead and start.
Well, here's the idea, Mike. We bring in a boat and we cut it up.
Yeah.
You cut it into sections.
Yeah.
He's already said he would do that. So yeah.
But I think that's, that's the thing is there's so much room for, different things. You could bring in, well, probably couldn't bring in metal polishing because there's a little bit of the, whole metal particles in the air.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is there's ways you could do those events where, if it was nice weather, maybe you have an area outside. Some of the locations we've had that have had outside areas. I just think it's so cool. And it's to me what it's doing, a major thing it's doing, it's renewing people's reason to go to the MTE, because it's not just walking around looking like, oh, gosh, there's Rod and Jody for the 27th year in a row. There's new stuff. There was new stuff all over. People were releasing new products, and there was a lot more events that we went to. This was the first year that Jody and I stayed in we'll call it a big house with people. Okay. Normally Jody and Rod and Ben, we slip off into Quietville, but this year we stayed in a big house with 15 rooms and a gaggle of 20-year-olds, and it was insane. I'm going to release a video that I took at, I think it was 1 or 2 in the morning, but while everybody else was out like partying and drinking and hamming it up, there's a room with about 25 people literally doing a rotary polishing training on a countertop at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it was a freaking blast. It was unreal. I'm like, these guys had, they had fun the whole time. They were up all night long, every night, just having fun. But they still were doing industry related stuff, and it was really cool to see. So anyway, it was
no, Richard, you're not bad company. You just weren't around.
You actually weren't there. We'd have to go to the UK to see you.
So dude, the show was great. I mean, Rod and I, we were super excited. One, for your second year. Rod and I came there with new features and RotaFest and Detail Bookie, and dude, I kept reflecting on this the entire time we were there. I was like, I'm glad we had 3 people in RotaFest booth. I'm glad we had 3 people in Detail Bookie booth, because we were slammed. I mean, there were so many attendees, and their questions were so great. Rod and I got to do an impromptu training on Wednesday because one of their speakers got held up in the snowstorm. And so that was super fun. And just shout out to Mobile Tech Expo. Shout out to Sheldon and his entire team. They did a phenomenal job.
They do a crazy job, and it's I don't know how Sheldon does it all, because I mean it's as soon as that one's over, they pack up and they're on to the next
food truck or
exactly
the home builders
exactly whatever. So it's awesome that he does that. This year, hopefully I'm going to take over the paint correction a little bit more, because he doesn't have the bandwidth for it. And there's a lot of, there's changes I want to do for next year's show. We want to, I believe I talked to you guys, I want to try and bring in sponsorship. I feel like getting the industry behind this is the next step. We have the detailers behind it now. The detailers want it. They're selling it out every year. Now, the industry, the brands and the companies that have kind of kept it at an arm's length for, definitely the first year. I think they, kind of started creeping a little bit closer this year. I mean, we had 3D put a bounty out that if somebody used their products and won, they would offer them $1,000 cash, which I thought was, awesome.
That's cool.
So my plan is to try and start getting some of the industry and the companies and the brands behind it, so we have some sponsorship. It gives us a bigger budget to actually put on a better show, to be able to do the things that maybe everybody's wanting us to do. It's definitely hard in 2 days to try and schedule 30 people over 2 days is what we did this year. If we doubled it up and put 2 more stations on the backside and we were running 4 at a time, we definitely would need more people helping out and things like that. So You know, that's that.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize what it takes to put something like that on, anything like that on, is a lot of logistics, and there's cost involved that people don't realize. You know, just is there a little info about the winner of the paint?
Give me a
second.
I will actually
Wasn't
tell
it
you.
Ramses? Something like Ramses was the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did it go? Hang on. I've got it here somewhere. Let me so it's actually on the MTE website. Yeah, there's a full breakdown. So Ramses Menza, he won. It doesn't say what products he used. I do know, David, when we were there and they were putting everybody's names, or they would take a picture of the person competing and put their name up. They were putting, like, you know, who they were from, whether it was their detail shop or a brand, and they were putting what they used. But online they didn't do it. But Ramses Menza got first place. Bob Phillips got second place. Kirk Evans got third. That was our podium.
And I think that is what's cool about talking about sponsorships is because then it would get to the point where I'm sure you would get a product company that said, I want to sponsor to. There we go.
So here's the leaderboard. And what I like about this is look at the scores. 95.8 then 95.4 to 95. The top three were within 0.4 of each other.
And so the way that worked, just so everybody kind of knows, is who's listening to this. So the way that we measured it was with the RowPoint detailometer tool. And the two readings we used was log haze C, which is your actual defect removal, and then RIQ, reflective image quality, which is how clear, when that light bounces into the paint and back up to the machine, how clear is that? So it's your clarity, right? So it's defect removal and clarity. Those are the two main things detailers want, right? So the way it worked was we got an average of, and for everybody who's listening and maybe saw it, we had 5 different measurements. It kind of looked, you know, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, and 1 in the middle. And the reason why we do that is because that is the industry standard pattern for measuring paint. If you're going to measure a panel, you do 2 on top, 1 in the middle, 2 on the bottom. So it's the industry standard. So again, you know, we're not just picking random places to put the detailometer. It is the industry standard. We have a template for it. So the way it works is they take 3 readings on each of those 5. So they get an average reading for each of the 5. And then those 5 are averaged out for log haze and RIQ. And then from there, Sheldon built in Excel a formula that you would get 60% of the log haze and 40% for your RIQ, and then that was your score. So those 95 point whatevers, that is their combination of the 2 scores, you know, broken down into that 60%, 40%. But yeah, that's how we came up with the scoring. So, you know, for everybody who's like, well, how did you even score it? You know, there's a lot to it. You know, there's a lot to making sure we get all the numbers and put it in right. And, you know, not just make it an even split 50-50, you know. So that was the thing, right? Like you would see some people's scores because they were putting the average RIQ and the average log haze at first, right? And everybody thought like, oh, this person was in first place because they had, you know, maybe the best RIQ. But really, you know, like that was the thing. It was almost kind of like, okay, you know, 60% is your defect removal. So do you try harder, go longer on defect removal, and then leave less time to polish out because that's going to be 40%? Or, you know, so then that's like where the gamesmanship comes in to how do you split your time down, right? You know, you want to obviously try to get more defects out because you're going to get a higher rating, or higher scoring off of that than you're going to get off of your clarity. So, so there was a whole, there's a whole thing for it, and it's just,
Yeah. What I wish you could see, I wish
it.
I could see how many people out there that did it this year or the year before that plan on doing it next year, literally go into their shop, turn on a timer, and try to do this as a practice.
There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of and girls. Yeah, well, we had more women this year. We only had one last year, and then this year we had Emma with Dent King. We had Jen Turcotte. We had Mia. I think that was it. I think it was just
the 7-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's Mia. Yeah.
So I think that the cool part about that is like, and this is what I've heard talking to most detailing women, is they just want to be considered a detailer.
Yeah.
But at some point you have to recognize, because it's a male-dominated industry, that there's women coming up in the industry that are doing these competitions, and then it gets to be a level playing field, and it's just somebody doing it. I mean, we're around a lot of different female detailers or influencers or product, and it's a situation where it's easy for us to look at that, working with them on a daily basis, and not even recognize it any longer. But when you see a competition and it's completely dominated by a bunch of men, and then all of a sudden you see these women coming in, it's great. And I mean, like Jen Turcotte, I'd put her up against anybody. That's
Yeah.
And the same thing with Sydney Bray Gwynn and some of these other women that you see out there. But
absolutely, yeah.
But I think the cool part about it is, again, there's no BS. There's nobody's throwing down at the show.
No, it's just fun.
And that was the whole reason why it never happened was because every time Sheldon would ask any of the industry leaders, let's say, the figureheads in the industry, they all told him, you're gonna have egos, you're gonna have fights, you're gonna have people getting mad. So that's why Sheldon was against it for the longest time. And it took myself and my ex co-host on the Detail Solutions podcast talking to him about it every year, that finally people started asking him at the show, like, hey, why can't we have something like Dent Olympics, for him to finally give in and say, I'm willing to try it. Let's see how it does, and then we'll go from there. The one thing I want to say to David, kind of going back to his question, where he was saying would be a massive company boost. David, that's another reason why I want to try to get sponsorship going this year, and I want to try to bring these brands into it, because right now I feel like none of the brands, I don't want to say don't care about it, but I don't think that I don't think they're using it as a marketing tool like they should. And hopefully we can bring these brands into sponsoring it, to where now all of a sudden it's not 3D next year that's offering $1,000 reward. It's whoever, saying, it's Puff and Shine saying, hey, we'll sponsor you. We'll give you pads, just, if you win, say, you get our name on it, or, whatever. Hopefully
well, and I think that's
to that point, and that's, just so David kind of knows, like, listen, man, like, I want the brands to be invested in this and see it as a selling point, right? Like, they could go around for a whole year, and be like, our insert whatever tool, pad, combo, whatever, compound polisher won the paint correction competition at MTE in 2027, 2028, whatever, right? Like, it's a selling boost. I mean, how many detailers out there who are coming into this industry that are looking for something, and they see our product won paint correction competition, be like, oh, I'll buy that, like, so yeah, that's hopefully what bringing the industry in and bringing the sponsorship to will hopefully, get them more involved and get them more pushing it and trying to sponsor people. I mean, who knows? Maybe, in a couple of years, everybody will be showing up with a shirt like NASCAR, and it's got PNS on it and Buff and Shine on it and Fructez on it.
We already did that. We already did that once. We should
you guys
make it for them, right?
Exactly.
We'll just put but I think that's honestly, when you think about NASCAR or even the Olympics, I mean, the Olympics are going on right now, and there's not a person in the Olympics that wins that doesn't hold up their board or their hat or whatever, because they're being sponsored, and that company wants to be seen as the winner of that thing. So you've got a compound company, you've got a pad companies, you've got polishing companies. And the thing about that is that is where I see this going, right? It's like, win the competition and you get, $1,000 from this company, a polisher from this company, and whatever.
And that's the other thing too, is if we can get brands behind it to get a little bit of a budget, we can do an actual prize pool. We can either break it down into cash money, so they walk away with cash money, or we
win a tool.
Right. I mean, I know for brands and companies, it's way cheaper to give away product than it is to like try to donate cash or something. But then we got to figure out, like, okay, well, can they take it on a plane? Or they do they have the ability, or do we have to get it shipped to them? And then and then the logistics of that. So it's one of those things where we have to figure that stuff out. I mean, the other thing I want to do, and no offense to Sheldon, but those trophies got to go. We got to get some real trophies, like we got to get some trophies that make you feel really good,
Yeah, I tried to say whoever won the competition got a kiss from Jody, but it was totally rejected. Everybody was like, nope, don't want it, don't need it.
So I mean, I'd like to get some like really badass trophies. I've been playing around with ideas, like first place gets a cool polisher trophy, like on a big block, it's a polisher, maybe second place, because it's second place, and you got to go with me here, it's a compounded polished bottle, so there's two, right? There's
gotcha.
two,
I'm with
two
you.
bottles on the thing, and then maybe third place is a stack of pads, 3 pads, 6-inch, a 5-inch, and a 3-inch.
I love it.
On top of each other, so it represents the first, second, and third place. I mean, it's I've got some ideas, and Sheldon's
that's
all
a
for
good
it,
idea.
So
it really is, and I think that's the thing is, and David's making some really good comments about winners and stuff, is people aren't taking it into account. Like literally, if I've got a shop right in anywhere USA and I win the polishing contest, I'm marketing the hell out of that thing.
Oh, absolutely.
2026 winner of the International Detailing Association Mobile Tech Expo's polishing contest. For that year, you are the best, because everybody that didn't enter can't even say that, but you can. And so I think that's one of those things, is you got to be able to get involved in these things to make it happen. Again, I always say this thing. It's like, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. If you go to MTE and you want to walk around for 15 minutes and look at everything and go, yeah, that was a bust, then that's what you're going to get out of it. But if you go there and you enter the competitions and you go to some of the after parties and you meet with people and you go to the award ceremonies, you're going to get more out of that event than you would going to SEMA. SEMA is a huge fun thing. It's a bucket list, cross it off your list. But I can guarantee you're not getting a lot of business done at SEMA. Whereas at Mobile Tech Expo, you're exposed to everybody that's doing the same thing you are, and you're also getting to see fun competitions and test your skills against other people.
The other thing that I've always preached MTE over SEMA for is the networking and the camaraderie. I mean, you go to SEMA and you walk the halls and you talk to everybody, and you do get the network, right? But what happens as soon as it's 5 o'clock? Kick everybody out. Everybody goes their separate ways, right? Goes to their own hotels. Maybe if you've made plans to meet up with them later, you're going to meet up with them later. But a lot of times you don't. The beauty of MTE is they kick you out and everybody just goes right into the hallway, or they go up to the restaurants. And that's to what you were saying earlier, Rod, is I definitely love the Rosen better than the Gaylord, because the Rosen has more little restaurants to hang out at and get a different variety of food from. So I mean, almost every night everybody was in that little bar area too, until 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's the thing that I love about MTE is you walk out of those doors and you carry that conversation on with the person that you've been talking to, and you go get dinner, or hey, I'll meet you at the bar area later, or you get done with dinner and you walk by the bar area and you see the mafia in there, and you go in there and you start sitting down with the mafia, or we bumped into the Steck crew, hanging out, having dinner and drinks or whatever. And, so we started talking to them, or you run into this person or whatever. So like, to me, that's the beauty of MTE, is you're definitely going to get the camaraderie. You're definitely going to get the networking. You're definitely going to get the info. Can you get all that at SEMA? Probably, yes, but maybe not as much as MTE. So to me, that's what makes MTE such a way better show. And then the fact that it seems like more people in the last year, maybe going into this year, are starting to bow out of SEMA because of the insane costs, and they're putting that into MTE, that MTE could end up being a way bigger show. The only thing I'm worried about is that it does make it across the street to the convention center, because it grows too big. And then it becomes like SEMA. You're at the convention center and you walk out and everybody's in different hotels, and then you kind of lose that.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like Jody and I, this year, we didn't go to SEMA this year. It's one of the first years we haven't gone. And and this year we had 6 people and 3 booths at MTE.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was way better. It's way better for us than going to SEMA. SEMA is great, and we love going there. But when Jody and I go to SEMA, we're just there to do podcasts and walk around and see everybody. We've had a booth at SEMA a couple of times, and it was completely not worth it.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to say the show isn't worth going to. If you've got that on your bucket list, you should go see it. But
oh yeah, it's absolutely a fun show.
To go there and expect that you're going to get a bunch of leads from going to the SEMA show. And like you said, there's so many people bowing out of it that I think that's kind of an indication of the value of it to the industry in general. I think it's just a different crowd. It's a different reason to go. So,
well, I know SEMA's more international. So if you're looking for that international buzz or outreach or whatever, that's what you want for SEMA. Yeah. And I think a lot of companies are just, there's so much, there's just so much now, right? That it's like, how do you compete with the international the international companies, so why not just focus on the States, where if you're a company from here, right? Like why reach out to the international markets if there's so much competition? Like now you're trying to go into the UK with a pH neutral soap, and they're the kings and queens of shampoos. They got a different shampoo for every car and everything and whatever. So like, how do you compete with that? Because you got a pH neutral soap or whatever. So I mean, maybe that's why a lot of people are doing it too.
Yeah. Well, dude, this has been such a fun conversation. I just looked at the clock. I'm like, we're an hour and 15 minutes, but it doesn't even feel like it.
Nah,
but
it's all good.
Yeah, dude. No. So we want to give you a mad shout out. We've said it before to your face. Yeah. I mean, your vision and your wrestling with the problem, it shows what can happen when you wrestle with the problem for long enough. That inevitably there's a solution. It's just got to be defined and discovered and built, right?
Exactly,
and you've done a great job of that.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys. And I appreciate all your support and everything. It's always good that I know I have you guys having my back, and you guys come around, and do the videos and everything like that. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Rod, do you have any final thought?
No, I was just going to say, let us know if you need anything. I mean, one of the issues with that competition is having people that are impartial or neutral. Mm-hmm. And Jody and I are definitely neutral. So if you need any help or anything, let us know.
Oh yeah. Now that it's 2 years in, now you want to help me. 2 years ago, you're like,
going forward, let us know. We had no way of knowing. We admit that fully.
Once you prove the concept, everybody wants to ride your coattails. Let's ride Alex's coattails to success.
So,
yeah, exactly.
If you don't follow Alex or ours, you're silly. You should go do that right now and get involved in that competition next year. Love all the questions. Keep doing that. And then if you see or know anybody that you want,
can I drop some news?
You can.
Yes, please.
Okay. I don't know when this is going to happen or if it's going to happen, but I might be joining and I don't even know what we're going to call it. So the roundtable is going to be doing detailers of the roundtable are going to be doing a podcast for their members, highlight their members and their people. And they've asked me to come on board and help them host it. So if you're missing Detail Solutions podcast, because I don't know if I'm ever going to start that back up, you can catch me on the road, on the roundtable, Detailers of the Roundtable, whatever it's going to be called. I don't know. My suggestion.
That's awesome.
My suggestion is Roundtable Radio, but I don't know if we're going to
go.
Yeah.
I actually like that Roundtable Radio.
Yeah.
You can have the theme song be Round and Round.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, yeah, Kirk approached me at MTE. They want to get that started, and he asked me if I would be willing to help them out and co-host it with Brian Gitson. So yeah, we'll see when that happens.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, well, here's a few final comments. Peanuts bragged with it on their Bee Maker and Coffee podcast. Yep, I don't blame them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Bob was number 2.
Yeah.
So many people look up to the best videos on your YouTube. So this is also a nice way for bragging rights. Yes, it is. Mike Marine Care. Let's see. He thought he said
thought of this before.
Before. I'm like, what is Bagor?
Yeah. He was trying to type too fast. It's all that that gel coat he's inhaled. His vision is probably all blurry.
That is exactly it. Well, thank you guys so much for tapping in. We really do enjoy these conversations. And we will check you same time, same bad channel just next week.
Man, we didn't mention Aaron Knox once. Quick, cut it.
Well, yeah, quick, out of here.
Who is that guy? Who's that guy? Wait a minute.
Never heard of
Who is that guy?
Never heard of him.